Páni. On April 26, 2017, the Pentagon quietly created an algorithm for war. They called it Project Maven. Its official name was even more sterile. The Algorithmic Warfare Cross-Functional Team. Páni. Its first mission was to stare into the abyss. To watch thousands of hours of drone footage from the Middle East. Data so vast, no army of human analysts could ever keep up. The goal was simple. Páni. Use machine learning to find objects, vehicles, people, to see what tired human eyes might miss. Its chief architect, Cole Drew Cukor, said it was about synergy. Páni. That people and computers will work symbiotically. Not everyone agreed. The project's first major tech partner was Google. But inside the tech giant, a rebellion was brewing. Páni. Over 3,000 employees signed a letter. Their demand was blunt. Google should not be in the business of war. By 2018, under immense pressure, Google was out. But the project didn't die. Páni. It just found a new partner. Palantir Technologies, a company with deep ties to the intelligence community, stepped into the void. Páni. And with new funding and fewer questions, Maven began to learn at an exponential rate. Early on, it helped analysts identify under 100 targets a day. A year later, that number was under. Páni. With the latest upgrades, it's now 5,000 targets every single day. Think about that. An AI flagging over 2 potential targets every hour, 24 hours a day. Páni. But this is just the part of the story they let us see. Since 2010, another more secret program has been running in the shadows. It is operated by the National Reconnaissance Office. Páni. Its name is Sentient. A declassified 2019 document describes it as a research program. Insiders call it an artificial brain. Páni. It was designed to autonomously process data from satellites, from ground sensors, from everywhere, and learn to predict future events. The official response from the NRO is a wall of silence. Páni. Quoting their public affairs office, details about Sentient remain classified. They won't say what it does. They won't say what it has found. Páni. Which leaves us with the one question they refuse to answer. If Project Maven is the tool that finds the targets, what has its secret? Older brother already learned to predict. Páni. What has its secret? Older brother already learned to predict. The answer begins not with predictions, but with the sheer volume of data Project Maven was built to process. Páni. Deputy Defense Secretary Robert O'Rourke understood the problem acutely. He saw the deluge of drone footage from the Middle East. It was too much for human eyes. Páni. So, on April 26, 2017, he established the Algorithmic Warfare Cross-Functional Team, or Project Maven. This was not a weapon, not yet. It was a pair of digital eyes, an attempt to make sense of chaos. Páni. Think about it. You have thousands of hours of video. How do you find the one critical moment? You can't, not alone. Maven was designed to change that. Páni. Its initial purpose was deceptively simple. Use machine learning and computer vision to analyze full motion video. It would identify objects of interest, flagging them for human analysts. Páni. But the ethical questions arose almost immediately. Google, a key early partner, faced an internal revolt. More than 300 employees signed a letter, demanding their company exit the project. Páni. By 2018 Google announced its withdrawal. Yet, the Department of Defense pressed on. They believed this technology was essential. Lieutenant Gen. Páni. Jack Shanahan, who would later lead Maven, dismissed the controversy. He stated the project was not controversial and simply a computer vision project. But was it ever just that? Páni. Critics saw it differently. They believed Google was entering the business of war, and the line between identifying targets and enabling autonomous weapons began to blur. Páni. Palantir Technologies, a company with early CIA funding, stepped in. They replaced Google. The project continued its quiet work. Its capabilities grew. Páni. From fewer than 1-2 targets identified daily, it surged to Yadnuan. Today, with large language models integrated, it can flag 5-foot potential targets every 24 hours. That's a target every 7-9 seconds. Páni. Consider the implications for a moment. This constant, relentless analysis. What happens when these systems become even faster? Páni. I think over time we're going to see AI take on more of the cognitive dimensions of warfare, observed Paul Schaar, a former Army Ranger. Páni. He suggests the speed of war could exceed human decision-making. What then? The Pentagon meanwhile has doubled down. Lieutenant Gen. Páni. Jack Shanahan stated, "We have to get AI right for our own purposes and our own national security. Páni. We can't afford to let up on the gas pedal one bit. I would say we have to go faster." This push for speed, this relentless acceleration, leads us to the shadowed program. Páni. The one that existed even before Maven. The National Reconnaissance Office's Sentient. Páni. This system, developed since at least 2010, is described as an artificial brain. It processes data from satellites and ground sensors. It doesn't just identify, it tracks. And it forecasts. Páni. What kind of forecasts? The NRO remains silent, details about Sentient remain classified. They state citing risks to national security. Páni. But what if Sentient's predictions are not just about enemy movements? What if they are about something far more unexpected? Páni. What if Sentient's predictions are not just about enemy movements? What if they are about something far more unexpected? Páni. The secrecy surrounding the National Reconnaissance Office Sentient program fuels endless speculation. It begs the question, what exactly are they hiding? Páni. This lack of transparency, this wall of silence, makes you wonder what kind of data an artificial brain might process, and what conclusions it might draw from it. Páni. Remember Project Maven's leap in capability. From under set targets a day to PETHISAT. That's a 50-fold increase. Páni. Just imagine the sheer volume of information Sentient, operating since 2010, has digested. It has had years longer to learn, to evolve. Páni. Paul Share, a former Army Ranger, raised a chilling possibility. Páni. He said, "I think over time we're going to see AI take on more of the cognitive dimensions of warfare." He believes the speed of war could exceed human capacity. Páni. Think about what that means for human control, for human decision-making in moments of extreme pressure. It suggests a future where machines dictate the tempo of conflict. Páni. A future where you, the human, might simply be too. This is where the ethical lines blur, where the debate intensifies, because while Lieutenant Gen. Páni. Jack Shanahan dismissed Maven as not controversial, simply a computer vision project, the underlying implications are profound, and the stakes are far higher than just identifying objects. Robert O. Páni. Work, the former Deputy Secretary of Defense who initiated Project Maven, put it starkly. Páni. He asked, as quoted by Paul Shar, "If our competitors go to Terminators, and their decisions are bad but they're faster, how would we respond?" This is not science fiction. Páni. This is a question being asked at the highest levels of military strategy. It reveals the pressure to accelerate, to push the boundaries of AI in warfare. It shows the drive for speed. Páni. The craving for a decisive advantage. But at what cost? You have to ask yourself. What if the AI, in its relentless pursuit of patterns, uncovers something entirely new? Páni. Something beyond conventional military understanding? Something that doesn't fit neatly into existing threat models. This is where the rumors begin, the whispers. Páni. Online, particularly on forums like Reddit, there is speculation. Páni. Many claim that the NRO's Sentient program is actively being used to detect and predict the movement of unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs. This sounds like fringe theory, doesn't it? Páni. Yet the NRO's official position remains absolute silence. Karen Forgerson, NR Deputy Director of Public Affairs, stated, "Details about Sentient remain classified. They will not elaborate." Páni. This secrecy only fuels the fire. It leaves you with an uncomfortable question. Why the absolute silence on a program designed to forecast events? Páni. What kind of events require such extreme classification? Is it simply traditional adversaries, or something else entirely? Lieutenant Gen. Páni. Jack Shanahan, acknowledging the ethical concerns surrounding AI, once said, "I view what happened with Google and Maven as a little bit of a canary in a coal mine. A canary in a coal mine." Páni. A signal of danger ahead. Páni. He also admitted, "While I'm skeptical that the current trajectory of AI development will lead to human extinction, I acknowledge that this view may reflect a failure of imagination on my part." Páni. Failure of imagination. This is not casual language. This is a leader in military AI expressing profound reservation, expressing a personal doubt about the future he is helping to create. Páni. Think about the contrast, the relentless push for speed, the ethical anxieties, the classified programs. Páni. And then, a direct admission from a key figure that he might be lacking the imagination to grasp the full, terrifying consequences. Páni. What does it mean when the very architects of these systems begin to question their trajectory? It means the stakes are higher than we can possibly imagine. It means the canary in the coal mine is singing a very unsettling song, a song about what AI might uncover and what it might become. The canary in the coal mine is singing a very unsettling song, a song about what AI might uncover and what it might become. But what does that song sound like to the individuals caught in its melody? For the people who must live with the consequences of these digital decisions? You see, the debate isn't abstract. It touches real lives. Think about Robert Urk, the former Deputy Secretary of Defense. He initiated Project Maven on April 26, 2017. He saw the necessity, the strategic imperative. He believed it would save lives. He once asked, Google employees say, look, this data could potentially down the line at some point cause harm to human life. And I say, yeah, but it might save peasant Americans or peasant allies or peasant innocent civilians from being attacked. This is the heavy calculus of leadership. A man wrestling with the ethical tightrope of technology and war. He saw the promise. He felt the burden of protecting his people, and that burden shapes decisions. But what about the other side of that equation? The 3000 Google employees who signed that letter in 2018. They felt a different kind of burden. They felt a moral responsibility. They saw the potential for harm. Their company, a place of innovation and bright ideas, was suddenly linked to the machinery of war. They felt a deep personal conflict. Imagine sitting at your desk, writing code, then realizing that code could be used to identify targets in the Middle East. It's a profound shift in perspective. A shift from tools for connection to tools for conflict. And that shift leaves a mark. It changes how you see your work, how you see your purpose. Lieutenant Gen. Jack Shanahan, who led both Project Maven and the Joint Artificial Intelligence Center, acknowledges this tension. He said, I view what happened with Google and Maven as a little bit of a canary in a coal mine. He saw the protests not as an inconvenience but as a warning, a sign of deeper societal anxieties. He understood that the public, and even the developers themselves, harbored deep concerns. Why do you think he used that phrase? A canary in a coal mine. It signals danger. It signals something hidden, something that could be deadly. This tension between strategic necessity and ethical unease is not new. But AI amplifies it. It accelerates it. Paul Schare, a former Army Ranger, has studied this extensively. He understands the soldier's perspective, the need for faster, more accurate information. But he also sees the precipice. He believes that the speed and tempo of war could soon exceed what humans can manage. What happens when the machine makes decisions too quickly for human intervention? What happens when the system, designed to save lives, inadvertently creates more risk? Alex Karp, the CEO of Palantir Technologies, stepped in when Google stepped out. His company embraced the challenge. They believed in the mission. They saw technological frontier. But even the most dedicated can feel the weight of these systems. The decisions these programs make have global repercussions. They shape the future of conflict. And they define the role of humanity within that conflict. So when we talk about AI analyzing classified files and what it finds, we are not just talking about data points. We are talking about the human experience of that data, the fear of what it means, the hope of what it could prevent, the ethical dilemmas it creates. We are talking about the very fabric of human decision-making. And what happens when that fabric begins to fray? What happens when the shadow of the machine grows longer than the reach of human empathy? What happens when the shadow of the machine grows longer than the reach of human empathy? We've spent this entire time looking for the monster in the code. Searching for the one terrifying discovery the AI made inside the classified files. But maybe we've been looking in the wrong place. Maybe the terror isn't a specific finding. Maybe it's the reflection. The machine, after all, is built in our image. It learns from data we create. It pursues goals we define. And it exposes the patterns of our own behavior, our own conflicts, our own fears. Think about that for a second.